if there's a guy out there that could be super unpredictable, just in terms of, you know what, I love it so much here that I'm willing to sign a extremely cheap deal, it's Bobby Portis.
All right, so let's switch to the Bucks now. They do not have nearly as many big decisions to make this offseason as the Phoenix Suns do, but they have a couple minor ones that are important, especially given how the playoffs and especially the finals played out. Bobby Portis is number one on the list for them. Was in and out of the rotation really throughout the postseason. Didn't play a ton during that Nets series. Stepped in for Giannis after he got hurt against the Hawks, and then Big Shot Bobby off the bench was their third highest scorer in Game 6, so with 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting. They signed him to a 2-year deal that was a second-year player option, so it was a $3.8 million player option, which I'm assuming he will decline. Unlike the Clippers with Reggie Jackson, unlike the Suns with Cameron Payne, they only have his non-bird rights, so they can only offer him 120% of what he earned last year, which means his starting salary in Milwaukee, if he stays, will be about $4.4 million. Gerald, how much do you think the Bucks need to re-sign Bobby Portis? And do you think they can, I think he probably will be looking at offers, maybe not like, again, 15, 16 million, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets most, if not all of a mid-level exception elsewhere. So, do you think they could keep him around for a couple less million next year?
I don't. I mean, I think that they should try, absolutely, because he was really good. And obviously, going up against the Suns team, having guys with that size was a big advantage. So he played a really big role, and he hit a lot of, corner threes and made a lot of plays that just kind of got under the Suns' skin, like just blocking Chris Paul from talking to Scott Foster last night. Just little things like that to get under an opponent's skin. You can't really measure that kind of impact, but I don't know if they can afford him at this point. He might have played himself out of their price range, just because he was kind of in and out of their rotation in the playoffs, but he did showcase the kind of skill set that another team would like to have coming off its bench. And especially if you can weaken the team that just won the NBA Finals, you should try to do that as well. So I think you try to get him back if you can. Try to play to his sensibilities of, hey, we just won a title with you. We love you. We want you back, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, money talks. So if he gets an offer it's kind of like the campaign thing. If he gets that kind of offer, I think it would be in his best interest to go on and move on and take it.
What about you, Mort? What do you think happens with Big Shot Bobby?
Well, so question, do they have their tax MLE?
Yes.
So they could technically renounce him and then re-sign him with the tax MLE.
Yeah, which would be $5.9 million.
That's actually a lot better. I mean, I'm not saying it's what he's worth. I think he's worth more, but compared to 4.4, that's at least a big step up. And I think the tax MLE is 2 years, right?
Yeah, I believe it would have to be at least 2.
Yeah, so that's like a 2-year. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. My point was that you could sign him to that 2-year, then make the second one a team option or a player option, or probably a player option, really. Then he opts out. But then he restarts, right? Then do you still have bird rights if you renounce him first and foremost, or do you even need to renounce him to sign him to?
You wouldn't need to renounce him.
Okay, so the bird rights carry on. So that means after that second year where he's earned 5.9, then you can actually sign him to 175% of that salary, the 5.9 million.
Or slightly above the average. That was what I was going to suggest. Well, not necessarily the MLE, but like even if they just say you go up to Bobby's agent and you say, look, we're limited. We can only give you 4.4 if we want to use the MLE 5.9.
Right.
We'll give you a 1+1 deal. And then next off season, you can opt out again. We'll have your early bird rights. We can pay you 10+ million starting salary. So we will take care of you. It's just going to take an extra year to do so.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
Yeah. and I don't know if that works. I mean, I'm with you, Gerald. Like, he could very well be getting the full MLE elsewhere, and that's 9.5 to start. And maybe he says, "Okay, cool. This was fun, but I'm going to go get my money," because he played for the Knicks last year on the $15 million contract, but he also hasn't had a big payday outside of that. I do think, the comments he gave to, I think it was Shams Charania of The Athletic recently, where he said he kind of viewed this as an investment year. He's like, yep. I played for the Knicks. I got my money last year. The culture was awful. I hated it. I wanted to go to a team where I can actually win and prove that I can make an impact on a winning team. And mission very much accomplished there. So, whether a contender comes calling with a significantly bigger offer, I think it'll be tough just because so many of these teams don't have the full, most of them are going to be limited to the taxpayer MLE. So again, it comes down to what are you prioritizing? Chances of defending your championship, bigger role, more money, more minutes, whatever the case may be. I could see a world wherein he takes slightly less money to stay.
Yes.
If they have that promise of that, 1+1 deal, and then next year we'll hook you up for taking the discount this year.
Which is totally illegal, by the way, but of course, that's,
right.
Let's not even take that into consideration, because why would we?
Right.
So I followed Bobby closely, of course, in Chicago. So, and he was the guy that I wanted back in 2015 on draft day as well. I really went into like study his character and like who he was as a basketball player at Arkansas. If there's a guy out there that could be super unpredictable, just in terms of, I love it so much here that I'm willing to sign a extremely cheap deal, it's Bobby Portis. Like, he is a guy who's very, very emotional, who loves to be a part of things. Like the fact that the crowd are screaming Bobby, 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 the fact that he has this relationship with Giannis, I am telling you right now, those things matter. Those are not things that he takes lightly. He will stand there with a major offer on one hand, and he will have all the love from everyone else on the other hand, and he'll go, what am I going to choose here? That is going to be a legitimately tough call for him, because this type of atmosphere is perfect for him. Like, he's not a starter, regardless of how we slice it. Like, the role that he had for Milwaukee this year is the role that he's going to be having everywhere. Like, he's not going to be a 28, 32-minute player whatsoever. This is his role moving forward. It's perfect for him, and if he re-signs with the Bucks, he's also fully aware that could mean future rings. The more rings you get, what does that mean for you after you retire? That means a lot of endorsements. That means the whole of the world opens up as NBA champion Bobby Portis. So I think that he has the long game in mind, and I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if the Bucks told him, you know what, next year, modest contract, but the year after, Bobby. The year after, that's when we get rolling. I think he will trust them. I think he'll say, you know what, that's good for me. Let's roll it back. Let's win one more time. And maybe this, like he called Giannis before last year. Maybe this time, if Giannis calls him, that will make everything in the world good for him. I think he's a guy who we could definitely see sign another cheap contract.
Yeah. We could see Bobby Portis Nissans popping up all over Milwaukee in 10 years. And no, it's a fair point, though. And really, that is their biggest free agent decision, right? They have Giannis locked up, Middleton, Drew. They have Dante DiVincenzo, who can become, he's extension eligible this year, but especially given the injury, I don't know that they're going to extend him a big offer. They'll probably just kind of wait to see what happens there. So they're in pretty good shape for a team that just won the title. They'll have the taxpayer MLE if they don't use it on Bobby, so they'll probably try to find a backup point guard not named Jeff Teague. But
I have a name.
Oh, okay.
And I am not trying just to hype him up. I think it makes sense. Ife Lundberg, Danish guy. Yeah, but I'm going there because I think he makes sense. He's 26. He aligns with Giannis. He is a tremendous pull-up, three-point shooter. He's got on-ball defense capabilities. And you know what? Regardless of how we slice it, he can't be any worse than Jeff Teague right now.
It's fair.
That is true. That is true. Patty Mills, I feel like, will be the dream the dream taxpayer MLE target for every contender, and then someone's going to give him a lot more money. But I'm going to throw him out constantly over the next 2 weeks. The other thing that I want to talk about with the Bucks, because like there's a real chance they just run this thing back, right? Especially if you're adding Dante back to the mix. Figure out if you keep Bobby, add Dante. Figure out what you do with backup point guard. Like you have basically your same 8-man rotation in the playoffs, but even slightly better because you have Dante. So sure, you could make a real argument, just run this thing back, but you could also say, look, if Kevin Durant had a slightly smaller shoe size, they would have gotten knocked out in the second round, and we'd be having a very different conversation about the Milwaukee Bucks this year. So I do wonder if they explore trades, and I'm looking at Brook Lopez in particular. Like,
oh my God, you will never get off of that, will you?
I'm just saying, if he's only averaging like 20 minutes in the finals, 25 minutes, that's at least something you have to look at. So I want to throw out a couple potential names at you guys and just tell me if I'm totally off base here. Like,
yes, you're off base.
It's very possible. But like, I just think you can get, if Bobby's coming back, you could steal minutes with him at the 5. Giannis is going to play the 5 at times, especially in the playoffs. Mort, you and I have talked repeatedly about how center depth in particular, you can find cheap centers. You can find cheap, productive centers.
But you can't find a Brook Lopez. Look, Brook Lopez, as I tweeted last night, is grotesquely underutilized offensively. He might still be one of, outside of Joel Embiid, of course, he might still be the best low post scorer in the NBA. Still. For whatever reason that's not being utilized, that we can agree on. That for what if he's not being utilized, then what the hell's the point? But having that option though in the playoffs, where you know if things go haywire, there's always that opportunity of, hey, Brook, go deep, long pass, there you go. Like that option is on that table. If you trade him, that option goes away. So I'm going to have to be blown away by this to agree to any of your trades. So the pressure is on, my friend.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, I agree with you that he's being underutilized, and that's kind of my point. Like, if you're just using him mostly as a pick and pop center, those will be harder to find in free agency, but like, hey, maybe you get Frank Kaminsky back home on a minimum deal, and like you could steal 10 minutes a game with him, much like the Suns did in the finals in Game 6.
The Kaminsky slander, which I started, I'm already almost regretting. Poor guy. Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at teams that could use a center this offseason, might not be interested in paying up for one. Sacramento's the first one that comes to mind. Brook Lopez for Buddy Hield, and then if Sacramento needs to throw in extra sweeteners, so be it.
Wait, what? Why would they give up Buddy?
Why would Sacramento give up Buddy?
Yeah.
Because they have De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, and they need a center, and they seemingly don't like Buddy Hield.
And they should trade Buddy Hield for a center who is, what, 33 years old?
Isn't Buddy Hield 33 years old? Do we know his actual age yet? Brook Lopez is only 31. No? Wait. No, he's 33, yeah.
Yeah, because he shares my birthday and he's 2 years younger, so that should be 33.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't comprehend how you made the values align here. I still don't understand why the Kings would try to pair De'Aaron Fox, who's like 23, 24, with someone who's 10-year his senior and doesn't really play a fast-paced game, which we have been clamoring for in Sacramento ever since the coaching change.
Yes.
What? Why? I don't understand your logic here. Because they're the Kings? Okay.
No, I mean, honest, like, if they don't want to pay up for Rashawn, they're not going to have a ton of good options at center. Like, you could bring back Hassan Whiteside. Cool.
Right.
Like, maybe you overpay Nerlens Noel. But, like, maybe you see we can have a floor spacer for De'Aaron Fox. We can have a guy who anchored one of the best defenses in the NBA over the last 3 years. And we can bring in Brook Lopez, who has this championship experience now. Like, we just need guys in our locker room who aren't these mercenaries. We need someone to help us set this winning culture. Maybe Brook Lopez could be that guy.
Right, because that's what the Kings should worry about right now. Championship experience. Yeah.
It's got to start somewhere. Ask the Suns.
Okay. I mean, I know you and I make fun of the Kings a lot. This is squeezing the lemon a bit too far, Mr. Toporek.
Okay. Gerald, am I totally off base with this one?
I think the only way something like that happens is if the Luke Walton Buddy Hield relationship gets so bad that it's like irreparable and they have to force a trade where he gets out. Because I think like Buddy just has more value at this point as a shooter for what he does than Brook Lopez does in a vacuum. So I feel like the Bucks would be pretty stoked about a trade like that. But for the Kings, I mean, even with those issues right there on the wing and in the backcourt, I don't think Brook Lopez provides enough value where you're getting a good return unless you just have to like make a panic trade of some sort.
Okay.
Remember, Gerald is a guest here. That was his very polite way of saying, "What the hell are you talking about, you weirdo?"
That's fair. All right. Okay. Well, let's move on. I have three other actually. Brook Lopez reunion with the Lakers, and we could send back either Kuzma or KCP.
Why would you want to do that to the Bucks? Why they just won the championship. They have great chemistry. Why, Bryan? Why do you hate the Bucks?
I don't hate that. I'm just throwing out potential ideas. We can move on. I mean, Kuzma, I think, would be interesting.
He would get murdered in practice by day one, first and foremost.
By Bobby Portis.
By Bobby, by Giannis, like everyone.
That's true, yeah. If he shows up to the Milwaukee with that hairstyle, he's Bobby's gonna punch him in the face.
And just the bravado as well. We absolutely sure in a game 6, game 7 setting that he's not gonna be, Bud, give me the ball. Like, move away, Giannis and Chris and Drew. I got this. Kyle got it. Kuz got it. Like, no, I don't want Kyle Kuzma anywhere near the Bucks if I'm the Bucks. Like, I will say though, you're aligning on value for a change.
Okay, that's good. We're getting somewhere. Okay, let's go to their crosstown neighbors, the Los Angeles Clippers. This one's tricky because you could do just like Luke Kennard for Brook Lopez straight up, but I don't think the Bucks say yes to that. But if Serge Ibaka opts in, and we do Kennard and Ibaka for Lopez and Dante DiVincenzo, because maybe the Bucks don't want to pay Dante.
I think you had it right the first time. Just
Kennard for Lopez?
I kind of like that one because...
there we go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, see, I had to be blown away, but this is a good one because as we saw, Drew Holiday does tend to have these stretches where he offensively is horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sorry, but that's just like that is what it is. He needs
to put it lightly.
Yes, he needs someone who can take over possessions here and there from the perimeter, who isn't solely Giannis or Chris Middleton. Luke Kennard is a pick and roll guy. He's also a great spot up guy. He is probably the one player in the league who'd come into that team somewhat effortlessly and bring some offense, some on-ball creation, and really lighten the offensive load of Drew Holiday. I don't hate that one, Bryan. I'm sort of surprised you said that the Bucks would be the ones to decline this because, like, he's younger as well. Like, he fits Giannis's timeline a little bit more. I would go the other way. That it might be LA who says, well, should we do that?
See, I'm more of I feel like, I mean, obviously Brook Lopez is older, so I'm having to take that into account as I go with this, but I think the step that you take back defensively hurts for the Bucks. Like, Luke Kennard was pretty targeted consistently throughout the Clippers playoff run, and obviously he wasn't playing, starters minutes or whatever, but and I think the Bucks would be well suited to hide that a little bit better when you've got a trio like Giannis and Holiday and Chris Middleton. But I would be curious how they fill that center gap with Brook Lopez on the way out, because obviously Giannis can play the 5 in stretches in the playoffs, but like during the regular season grind of 82 games or whatever it is, who are you getting that can fill those shoes defensively a little bit. I mean, they could very well do that just fine and be fine, and Luke Kennard's creation would be great. But I think for me, it would be contingent on how they fill that 5 spot with Brook Lopez on the way out, if they're not doing the Ibaka and Dante DiVincenzo thing.
Yeah, that's where I looped in those other 2 guys, because I figured Ibaka could fill in some of those minutes as well.
But can't you just find someone off the scrap heap, honestly? I mean, I'm not saying that he would be the right choice. It's just me picking a name out of a hat, really. But, like, for example, a Hassan Whiteside, like, if you get him to play, like, 20 minutes per game on a min deal, like, wouldn't that be okay?
There are a lot of guys out there, like a Cody Zeller is going to be out there. Maybe you just swap one Lopez brother for the other, bring in Robin Lopez, Daniel Tice if you want him on the MLE.
I would like Robin Lopez in that spot if you're gonna make that trade. I don't know as much about like a Whiteside, maybe a Cody Zeller, but I feel like another Lopez brother would be defensively a pretty good stand-in for the other Lopez.
Right, and he knows the system. I mean, he played there, and he's also a surprisingly adept post scorer, much like Brook, which I was the one saying I would hate to lose that, but you're getting a significant portion of the defensive return. You're still getting the post-up thing. Probably not getting the three-point shooting, but you know what? If you get Luke Kennard instead, you can work things around. Question is if Robin is too busy watching Paddington.
Phenomenal franchise. Who could blame him?
That was epic sibling trolling. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a better sibling trolling job. That was tremendous. A+, Robin.
Yeah, Gorgie Jang's another guy. Dwayne Dedman also available. So
there
Dedman. There are some cheap options. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're not going to utilize Brook Lopez as much offensively because they are feeding so many touches to Giannis, Chris, and Drew, can you get away with signing one of these guys on a mid deal or a Daniel Tice for the MLE and trade Lopez for someone who can help you in these smaller ball looks? And that's kind of where my thought process was to even broach the Brook Lopez trades. The last one I came up with, and this is one where I think Milwaukee's going to have to send more, but Charlotte also needs a starting center. So Brook Lopez plus question mark, whether it's Pix or Dante, to the Charlotte Hornets for Terry Rozier.
I think you should have quit while you were ahead.
I should have saved the Clippers one for last. Damn it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it would give them another scoring option on the perimeter, which I wouldn't hate. And Terry Rozier is legitimately underrated, but he's also going to be a free agent after next season, and he is going to look for a major payday. And I just wonder if you wouldn't rather than go with Kennard, who's on a longer deal.
Yeah. Kennard's got
3 years left after this one.
Four. It's
it hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, it's just starting, and it's the 4th year is a team option, but yeah, it's at 12.7, 13.7, and then 14.7 for the final 2 years.
Yeah, no, that would be my pick if I had. So how many trades were that? 4? And you hit on 1, so you're shooting 25%. That's okay.
I'm channeling my inner Ben Simmons at the free throw line.
Yeah, you are. That's very on brand Sixers for you. Good on you, Bryan.
Good. All right. Well, I just wanted to throw them out there as some possibilities to explore this offseason. Not saying they're going to even look at them, but if I were running the Bucks, I would at least be like silently calling around and seeing what I could get for Brook. All right, well, that is a good place for us to wrap up. So, Gerald, thank you again for joining us today. One last time, can you let our listeners know where they can find you on Twitter and where they can find your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at Gerald Bourguet, GeraldBourguet, and you can read my work at fansided.com/NBA and listen to the Valley of the Suns podcast wherever you get your podcasts.